You're on.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're all familiar with me. I'm Harry. We are going to do a Cavitron outline course. I'm sure many of you have ran into Cavitrons or ultrasonic scalers, as they're known as, in several offices and had several repair requests. Cavitrons look more intimidating than they are. Do not be afraid of them. You have plumbing and electricity in a small box. Still, there is no reason to be afraid. They can be diagnosed easily and quickly and can actually make a good account for you. Most of your bigger companies, whom shall remain nameless, don't work on Cavitrons inside you or in the office or in the operatory. They offer a repair service at Pro Repair or their central repair facility where such items are sent and forwarded to. The Cavitron is not an essential item in a dental office. Essential meaning that they cannot work without it. If the Cavitron goes down, there'll be much grumbling from the hygienist because she has to hand scale. Now, we'll explain the differences between ultrasonic scaling and hand scaling in a moment. But first, let's familiarize ourselves with the machine and the components. Our main unit, our base unit, is a Cavitron itself. You will hear the Cavitron referred to under many different names. Ultrasonic scaler, scaler, ultrasonic descaler, bobcat, clean machine. Several different names will apply to the same type of equipment. There are many manufacturers that make a Cavitron. Cavitron, let me do an analogy. The Cavitron name is a catch-all name for all ultrasonic scalers, but it is copyrighted by the Dent Supply Company. It's like Frigidaire and Kleenex are trademark names, but everybody calls every tissue a Kleenex, everybody calls every refrigerator a Frigidaire. Same with Cavitrons. So don't assume when you get the dispatch said Cavitron out that it's going to be a Cavitron brand. Okay? That being said, let's go into some components of the machine. Your first component is your base unit, which we've already discussed. You have an on-off master switch. Most of these parts are available aftermarket from DCI or either Chapman Hoffman. You have a frequency control, which translates into a power or strength control, and you have a water control. Very important that this machine broadcasts water while it's cavitating or using ultrasound. Ultrasound and cavitation produce heat. The heat will transfer to the dentition or the gingival tissue and actually burn the patient and kill the tooth. So you need good water to cool the procedure. Our next component is the handpiece and cord assembly. This is a field replaceable item, gentlemen and ladies. This is field replaceable. You can either replace the cords, just the cords on the inside of them, which calls for much therapy work and much precise soldering. Or you can replace the whole hand switch, handpiece, and cord assembly, which is what I strongly recommend you to do. Most of the times, your difficulties with your handpiece are going to come from a memory, which means the hygienist uses the handpiece, holds it as any other instrument, like a pencil. When she's scaling on the lower arch or your mandible, that cord becomes accustomed to this position and actually memorizes that position. And when you hang the cord back up, it will actually stay there. There are 3 wires, very small wires, approximately the size of about 5 strands of hair each that go through there. The wire always breaks right there. Right there, as you can see, it's a pivot. There's strain release in it, but it breaks. To properly diagnose that, you would actually run the Cavitron, flex the hose, you'll hear it cut in and cut out, stop, start, stop, start. You know you got a short right there, you know to replace the tubing. Guys, if you replace this tubing, order and replace this tubing in the office without carrying this Cavitron off, it is a kudo, it is a caveat. The doctor will love you because everybody else sends their Cavitrons out. Also, examine the cord. This cord may drape on the floor slightly. Examine the cord very subtly for cuts, dents, or nicks in this cord. The cord is very fragile. If it's stepped on or rolled over with a stool, kiss it goodbye. There's also a small 1/8" water line traveling through here that delivers the water in conjunction with the wires. Very important that the cord be maintained and be protected. That's one replaceable component in the office. Your next component is the foot control. Very simple foot control. Essentially, it's an on-off switch and a pedal, spring-loaded pedal. If you can hear this click, we're activating the switch and turning the ultrasound on in the machine to make the machine usable in the oral cavity. Foot controls are usually pretty durable. This is a durable foot control. This is an industrial foot control that they used to cut lathes on and off with. It's just a different application on the foot control. Your foot control will plug in on the reverse side of the machine. Just like so. The first thing you should check, if when they hit the foot control the machine doesn't work, make sure you have a good connection in the back. Make sure the foot control is connected well. Okay. Your next component, and you have plenty of length on your foot control line. And the foot control line can be extended too with just regular wire. You can make a foot control extension if that's necessary to accommodate your doctor or your hygienist. Your third component, as we turn the machine over, is your incoming power cord. Very simple, 110, has a male plug on the end of it. Plug it into a 110 power source. You also have a fuse and a bayonet fitting, which is a standard bayonet fitting, like so. You unscrew the fuse holder. The fuse will come out with the fuse holder, and you check continuity on your fuse. You can do a visible on it for a broken filament in the fuse, or you can check continuity. The fuse nomenclature and specifications for the fuse are plainly written on the machine. It takes a 1.25 amp slow blow fuse. Slow blow being very important. Two types of fuses, a fast acting and a slow blow. If you exceed 1.2 amps, 1.25 amps on this fuse, you risk burning the electronics and the circuit boards in the machine up. Better to blow the fuse than a $500 circuit board. Okay? These are very, very basic things to check in the office with a complaint that anybody can do. Now, we've restored our fuse back into our fuse holder. Our other component is an incoming water line. The incoming water line is usually going to be blue to specify water. However, if you get out in the dental office and you don't have a piece of blue line, don't let that stop you. Put whatever color line you got on it. This is a high pressure water line. It distributes the water pressure that the delivery system it is attached to hooks provides. On one end of the water line, we have a male quick disconnect, 1/4-inch male quick disconnect. This is available from DCI, part number 0012. Available through parts at Dental Fix RX. This will plug into a female quick disconnect and actually supply water to the machine. Now, I'm going to go over very briefly how to disassemble the machine. We have the machine turned over already. In the back of the machine, some machines have 4 screws and some machines have 2 screws inside the wells. And they should be Phillips screws. They came from the factory with Phillips heads. Sometimes you'll see regular heads in there where somebody lost a screw and didn't have a Phillips head to put in it. After we unloosen both of these screws, turn the machine over. The screws should drop. The cover lifts right off. Set the cover aside. By all means, please turn the power off to this machine before taking the cover off. Internally, we have a few components, and we have some field replaceable components. Again, this will greatly endear you to your accounts if you can repair these in situ. We have a transformer, a very simple transformer. Very, very, very simple. 110 to 115 out and 24 volts in and 24 volts out, secondary. Your primary current coming in, 110, line current. You got 24 volts, which supplies 24 volts to your main circuit board. The heart, brains, lungs, everything of the Cavitron. Board level repairs cannot be done in the office. Out and out board replacement. When you have a board problem, or you suspect you have a board problem, immediately take the machine if the doctor will let you. Don't take the board out. Forward the entire machine to SER. Let Eddie scope the board and replace components unnecessary if the board is reparable. Then again, unless you have an oscilloscope and you know electronics, do not fool with the board. That's our job down here. Now, attached to your board is your handpiece lead. Bingo. Easy to change. That's the only electronic. When you get a new handpiece, it will come with the Molex plug on it. No problem. The handpiece interfaces with a grommet through the front of the machine for strain relief. You also have a water line that starts right here that supplies the water to cool the machine. This water is otherwise known as lavage in hygiene. Lavage. It will create a halo and an atomization mist similar to a high-speed handpiece and cool the tooth surface down and wash away the scaled off calculus, tartar, and debris to where it can be suctioned out of the mouth. Very easy sell, very common problem. And we want you to repair these until they get to board level. There's no reason why they can't be repaired. Now, to show you the other components, I am going to remove the fascia of the Cavitron. To remove the fascia of the Cavitron, Very easy. One finger each hand. I'm going to show the camera a little ridge in there. There's a little cutout square. Can you ladies and gentlemen at home see this? Right there. What you do is both your fingers on the inside, you can do them one at a time, you actually push that out. Pull it away. Set it aside, don't lose them. Set this one aside, pull this one, pump this one out, pull it out. Set it aside, don't lose it. Now let me turn the machine around to demonstrate a little bit easier. The fascia will come straight off after that, guys. Straight off. Your water line will still remain on the fascia, as well as a few Molex plugs that take the data from your potentiometers and your valves to the circuit board to send more power to the machine or less power to the machine. On the fascia is also your water adjustment valve or your needle valve. I'll pull a little slack out here. Gentlemen, do not take a regular flow control needle valve for a delivery system and replace this. Number one, it'll potentiate the water, but number two, it will not fit. We have a unique bracketing and linkage system that starts from the knob with this C bracket that holds the regulator on. These are available from DCI or either Chapman-Hoffman. You will see a lot of these leaking, a lot of them leaking, okay? It's about a 30-minute job to replace it. Disassemble the way I did, disconnect the water to it. This is the same blue water hose, attaches to the back with a polyflow fitting. Same blue water hose that has the male quick disconnect on the other end. You're just routing the water from the delivery system through this valve and adjusting the water spray with it. An indication that the valve needs to be replaced is, looking straight on the valve, we see a weep hole. Can you guys see the weep hole there? The small hole? Let me... You'll actually see stains and calcification where it looks like water has been running down this weep hole. This one's got a slight amount to it, okay? When you see it dripping, dripping, dripping continually, it's time to replace the valve, the needle valve. Again, available from Chapman-Hoffman. Easily replaceable in the field, gentlemen. If you have any questions when you're doing it, call me. It's simple, okay? Let's lay the fascia aside and let's look at another component that is replaceable. We've already determined we can replace our transformer, our water valve. We can also replace the on and off switch, gentlemen. On and off switch available through Chapman-Hoffman and probably DCI now. The on and off switch is easy. Pulls right out. There's a slide in there and a mounting fascia, pulls right out. Very simple switch, a push-push switch with a spring that retains it and holds it down. Sometimes the switch will get fouled. It goes through the little corresponding hole in the fascia. Sometimes when they wipe the units down with their surface disinfectants, it will foul the button and make the button stick inside the fascia. You can just take and abrade the button a little bit and make sure you've got smooth movement through the fascia, and that'll be it. Other times, if the switch sticks after you've got it out of the fascia in this position, go ahead and order a new switch and replace it. You will need your soldering skills for this because, as you can see, solder, 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 solder. This is all designed to help you retain a little bit of your repair money. Okay. Our next component, which is an extremely field replaceable item, is the solenoid and coil, gentlemen. The solenoid and coil is responsible for stopping and starting the water flow in conjunction with your pressing the foot control. The indication to replace the solenoid is at the end of the handpiece when you get through, and the handpiece is in the hanger of the holder on the side of the unit. If you get a drip, 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 you know the water's leaking past the solenoid. It's either going to be A, debris in the solenoid, which is highly unlikely, or B, plunger in the solenoid has just worn out. Replace the solenoid. Then again, a Chapman-Hoffman item. Easy replacement. It bolts right through the frame. 1/8" water line, 1/8" water line. Very easy. There's no reason why you guys can't do this in the field. I reiterate. Okay? Now, before you do anything to the water system, to the solenoid, or make another handpiece connection when you replace a handpiece, make sure the water is disconnected. Make sure the power's off. If you spill water on this board, or drip water on the board, and you power it back up, you're going to smoke the board. So, with a can of air that I've highly advised everybody to carry, or either with a doctor's syringe, take the air and dry the board off. And don't just give it a lick and a promise. Stand there and dry that board and look. Use your eyes. Look for moisture on that board. If you don't see any moisture, you are good to go. Okay? This basically concludes the serviceability in the field. Okay? 95% of your problems are field serviceable on the Cavitron. Fully 95% of them. Again, I reiterate, if it's the power board or a circuit board in it, send it back. But everything else can be done in the field. And it makes you look like a hero. There's a water filter attachment that we highly recommend you use. It's a flying saucer shaped affair. You can see it's laminated in 2 parts that are bonded together with a filter disc in the middle of it. It will save you solenoid debris problems. Okay. The way it fits, it's an easy install. Then again, available through parts at dentalfixrx.com. It's a lure lock, just like a doctor's syringe. You cut the water line after you cut the water off, by the way. You put your accompanying fittings in, you snap, snap, and there's your water filter. And they can buy about every 3 months. It's all according to how much debris and stuff is in their naturally occurring water, in the building water, or even in the bottled water. They're using a water bottle. You can run this off a bottled water system as well. Okay. Should be replaced about every 3 months. Or when you look at it, when their water flow starts depleting at the handpiece, you know that the filter is getting clogged. Common sense. Very easy sale. Very easy sale. Okay. Now, Cavitron comes from the term cavitate. Who can tell me what cavitation means?
Disruption.
Disruption, extreme vibration, extreme oscillation. To cavitate means to vibrate ultrasonically, which is exactly what this does. It uses a tip, an insert. You'll hear them called Cavitron tips, inserts, or stacks. You'll hear 3 different terms. The insert goes into the handpiece just like this, snaps down. Let me show you again. With an O-ring. That's all that retains it in there. When you depress the foot control, you start the cavitation or ultrasound. You hear a slight whine and you'll see water. The ultrasound, the extreme vibration and cavitation of your tip actually creates the atomization of the lavage or the water. This takes the place of this. That's why your hygienist will grumble and moan if you got to send it back, because she's going to have to hand scale. Anytime she hand scales to remove calculus and stuff on a heavy smoker, a patient that's less than compliant about their home care flossing, you're going to build up calculus. Calculus is a very hard mineralization, and she's going to have to physically remove it by picking at it with the scaler, like so. With the Cavitron, all the hygienist has to do is hold the Cavitron on the surface, and it knocks the cavitation, dispels, dissolves, and knocks the calculus away, so it can be suctioned out with a saliva ejector. She's not yanking, she's not pulling, she's not getting carpal tunnel. Very easy. It's a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer. All hygienists are taught to hand scale in hygiene school, but they don't like it because it's a whole lot of work. Doctors like for a hygienist to see a patient every 45 minutes to 1 hour to keep her productive. When she's hand scaling, there is no way, if she's got a patient with a heavy calculus buildup. It makes the procedure go a lot faster. Next, please. Next patient. Okay. These Cavitron stacks or tips are fully autoclavable. They are fully autoclavable. You put them in an autoclave bag and you autoclave them. Even though they have plastic components on them, the plastic is designed to take up to 270, 275 degrees, even 280 degrees. You do not want to put a Cavitron stack, tip, or insert in an ultrasonic cleaner, in an ultrasonic instrument cleaner. An ultrasonic instrument cleaner cleans by ultrasound, which is produced by cavitation under the tank. These tips are tuned. They are tuned. Cavitation is so familiar to radio frequency, or RF, that it's measured in kilohertz, the same way radio waves are measured, in kilohertz. This is, or Ks. This is a 30K tip, which fits the newer machines. You got much more power and much more efficiency with a 30K tip. Your older machines took a 25K tip. Now what did we say K meant? Kilohertz. The older machines took a 25K tip, and the difference is very obvious. You see your length differences? Which means that a 25K tip will not fit in a 30K handpiece. See? However, a 30K tip will fit in a 25K handpiece because it's shorter. And it will cavitate like the dickens for about 10 minutes until it blows the tip to pieces. Some ultrasonic scalers will take a 25 or a 30K tip. Only Parkel, only the Parkel clean machine will take a dual tip, and one Southeast Instrument scaler will take a dual tip.